Welcome to Tommy Solo's Famous Friends. This is where I get to chat with people I've connected with over the years in the world of arts and entertainment. And today, as part of our The Singers series, I'm so happy to have with me Sarina Haggarty, rising star in London, Ontario. Welcome to the show, Sarina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it is my pleasure, Sarina, and we have met and we both worked on the last Rockin for Kids show for the Children's Health Foundation of Southwestern Ontario back in 2020. Wow, that was a while ago.
Already.
Since then, a lot of exciting things have happened for you. I know you have a brand new album that's just been released. It's Waste of Time. It's available on all platforms, and I know you have CDs that will be available as well. I know at your shows, etc. But I want to go back in time now. I understand that you started in music at a very young age. Not that you're very old yet. You are an up-and-coming rising star in my eyes anyway. When did you get into music, and what influenced you to be a musician and a singer and a songwriter? How did that all start for you?
Yeah, I've been singing my whole life, and I grew up in a musical family and everything. And I started performing all over London and just wherever I traveled. And mostly my go-to was the London Music Hall back in the good times. And then eventually I started writing, and I met a lot of musicians. And then I started doing it professionally when I was about 16 and started writing and sharing. And I think since I was 16, I actually started performing and releasing stuff.
Okay, now I know when I spoke to your mother a few years ago, she said that it was a little bit of a struggle trying to get anything happening with radio because people were saying, well, she's just a kid. So, and that's not the only adversity that you've faced. I know that at one point in time you got sick, and that was a pretty rough go. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you mentioned, speaking of how I got treated like a kid. As like a youngster, I get it. Like, everyone does see you. But when they don't know you personally, you just look like a kid. So they're like, oh, I've probably done nothing, like, music-wise. Health-wise, I grew up with epilepsy, and then I decided to have brain surgery. So I wasn't really, I was a hospital ambassador, but I was lucky. I chose to have brain surgery myself. So I decided to do that when I was 16. And then surgery was not a success as planned. So I had another surgery when I was 18 in the adult ward. So as a not only hospital ambassador for kids, I was also for the adults. So getting to share my story with them, at least I was treated like just as an ambassador, not just a little kid anymore. And I think because the radio was involved in all this stuff, that's how they saw me, as more of an artist. But yeah, I had surgery, brain surgery.
Well, we're all glad that eventually went well. And I know that when you and I first met a few years ago, I was kind of looking around for your material. And one of the first things that I saw was a live performance that you did as part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You performed alongside Shawn Mendes in front of 22,000 fans. That must have been awesome. And how did that happen, and how did it feel?
It felt cool. I'm really grateful that happened. And my wish was to perform on a big stage. And yeah, they contacted a bunch of artists, and Shawn Mendes he happened to be the first one. And he said, of course, let's do it. So not long after, I got to sing an original and share the stage with him. So that was really cool. Like, it's something I couldn't imagine, but I was excited for it. And I knew it involved performing, so that's why I was so excited and confident about it. And yeah, I wouldn't take it back, like, at all. It was amazing, and Shawn and his team were just incredible, and the fact that they made it happen was awesome.
No kidding. And talk about confidence to do what you did in front of 22,000 fans, and at such a young age too. That's kudos to you. And I personally, I can attest to the fact that being a good singer requires a lot of confidence, and you certainly have confidence.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good few years, so I definitely grew up with a lot of confidence. I don't know which side I got it from. Probably both, I think. And it's just been growing as an artist, so very confident and social and good person, I think. I hope.
Well, you certainly are, and you've done a lot to give back to the community since you've been in the business, that's for sure. I know that you have been actively writing and performing for a long time, and you graduated from the Music Industry Arts program at Fanshawe College in London. But not only did you graduate, you also won the Slight Communications MIA Artist Development Award. So that was pretty cool, and I'm sure a highlight in your experience at Fanshawe.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was not expecting any awards, and it's an awesome program, and the profs and what there is to learn and the people to meet. It was a really awesome program to go into. So then I won the award for artist development, and it's just been growing since then. So.
And while you were at Fanshawe, you got the opportunity to work with Moe Berg from The Pursuit of Happiness. He's a regular fixture now at Fanshawe, isn't he?
Yeah, Mo taught production for my first year. And yeah, he was awesome. It's cool to go meet from another artist and songwriter too. So I met him and I started working with him and then writing and ended up in Emax Studio. And I released some singles during the pandemic, and those were produced by Moe Berg.
Cool. Do you remember how old you were when you wrote your first song?
I think when I was like really young, I wrote a song called Reach for the Stars. And yeah, I think I was around maybe like 11. And that was actually the first song that I actually said, okay, check this out. I wrote a song. I was never confident saying, oh my God, I wrote these lyrics. Check it out. So probably around 9 or 10. And then now it's like, yeah, check this out. I wrote a song, and I could share with my friends and co-write a lot of songs these days. So it's definitely come a long way when it comes to sharing lyrics.
Cool. Yeah, to start writing at that young an age. And I know from interacting with you, like I say, we did work together on the Rockin for Kids benefit show back a few years ago. You are very easy to get along with as far as your interaction with other artists. In fact, I remember you connected with one of the guitar player, I think, from Kate Channer's band, and the two of you did an impromptu performance together on stage. So that's really something that you can just meet somebody like that, and all of a sudden within 5 or 10 minutes you're playing together on stage. And I mean, the two of you worked out an arrangement backstage within like 5 or 10 minutes and then just did it live at the London Music Hall.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of people the past few years, so it's been a lot of fun. And my band now that I usually play with, they are so talented. So I'm very lucky about that. And just getting to meet all kinds of musicians. So much talent.
Well, London is UNESCO Music City, so there's no shortage of talent here, that is for sure. And you're certainly among the cream of the crop there at this point. Now, speaking of, I know that you also have won at least one Forest City London Music Award, and that was a fan favorite award. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe that was in 2017, and it was really nice. There were so many nice people involved in that award, and like, there's always great people, ambassadors winning awards and stuff, so it was cool being around talented people, as I said. And yeah, fan favorite. Well, and then I got to present it the next year.
Well, to me, the fan favorite is a special award because it's selected by the actual people, the fans. I know that the majority of the awards that they present at the FCLMAs are decided and voted on by a committee. So the fan fave, that's kudos to you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess people like me.
You and Sally Field both, yeah. And we'll be right back after this. Yeah, that might be a bit of an older reference, kind of a boomer thing, but anyway. prior to your new album release, you've also released 2 EPs. So what's the story behind those?
I released the first one in 2016, and that's when I finally was confident enough to say, check out my 4 songs, woo. And I was working with an awesome producer, Rainer Stoser, in London, and that one was really cool. I had the release party at Aeolian, so it was awesome. And it was more folky. And then my second EP in 2018 was more singer-songwriter. And yeah, I had that at a music hall, so I've had a lot of support. I'm very, very grateful. Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 songs on each. And then this album, yeah, this year I had it at Palisade Sociable. So that was a lot of fun, and there were 7 songs on that album.
Very cool. Now, I know you've had some success with streaming, which that's to be commended today. Are you finding that you're getting a lot of return from your live shows? Like, are you selling merch and so on that way, or is it kind of equally distributed between online platforms and your live shows?
I think I do get a good amount of streams. I do want more. I do want to be on playlists and stuff, but it's hard to get. So it's just a matter of promoting. And since I don't get a lot of radio play, other than like CBC in London, they are so nice, and Rebecca's awesome, and just they support live music a lot and local artists a lot. So when it comes to Spotify and Apple Music and Deezer, that's where the streams and pennies come from.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've spoken out about my personal feelings on streaming revenue many, many times in public, and we don't necessarily need to get into that, but it's not really a fair and equitable distribution system, that's for sure. Now, speaking of radio, as you say, the CBC in London has been good to you. Have you reached out to any radio promoters as far as trying to get more of a national radio presence?
Yeah, I've looked into a lot of radio people and just hiring someone, a radio tracker, but it's really pricey, and it sucks when it comes to how it's not guaranteed and everything. So it just takes a lot of patience, and then maybe next single I will work with one, but right now it's kind of on hold.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough these days, and I mean it's not something really new. They used to talk about something called payola in the old days. Like when I was a kid, it was pretty well accepted that if you wanted to get on radio, you'd have to get a case of whiskey for every program director around if you wanted your stuff to be heard. And it is what it is, but you seem to be making some decent headway regardless, so once again, kudos for that. Now, I know that when the Canadian Country Music Awards happened in London, you had a big presence there.
Yeah, I did. It was really cool. I got the gig and got some exposure and got to play with my band. And it was Saturday night, so lots of country fans and everyone just celebrating country music.
Right. Now, I don't know if we could really pin one genre on you. I just think you're a very versatile artist. You know, I talked to a lot of legacy artists in the business, and one of those was Holly Woods from the band Toronto. Now, they were a big force on Canadian radio back in the 80s, and when I asked her if she would have any advice for young upcoming artists, one of the first things she said was that you should write. And I think that's a special gift that you have. And I don't know if you've ever tried to be a cover artist in the past, but I feel like a lot of young people out there will say, well, I really like this song and I want to sing it. But it's not really in their range. It's not really in their wheelhouse. But there's something special about being able to write your own songs, isn't there? And that you have that control over your own performance through your writing.
Yeah, I've learned how to write just when it comes to being inspired by people I co-write with and being able to gain my confidence, as I said before, and just having fun and making the best out of writing and learning from it. So especially during the pandemic, writing every day from my room and off of Zoom. I think if I didn't have that, if I didn't have COVID, then it would have been way different from 3 years ago. So I think that point is true, how people love when artists write, and whether it's a decent song or a great song, just writing in general.
Well, I know it's been tough for a lot of artists trying to break away from the cover artist scene. You know, when I first started out, if you were going to be an original artist, you had to do, say, 38 cover tunes and then sneak 2 original songs in, because people really aren't that accepting of original artists for the most part when you're first starting out. And it goes beyond that too. A lot of times Canadians, we eat our own. Like, we're not necessarily going to support Canadian artists as willingly as we will American or British artists, for example. So it's got to be tough to be out there strictly as an original artist at such a young age. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's definitely been hard, and I think you just learn every day, learn every gig, and I play a lot of gigs at weddings and restaurants and corporate events. So I think, one, it's exposure, and two, it's just being able to gain the audience by singing the covers and then sneak in some originals. But then you get hired to sing all originals, so every gig is different, and luckily I do play often a lot of originals, and then have a gig playing all like hit songs. And at the end of the day, people want to hear original work anyway.
Well, it makes a difference when your songs are good, you know, and I've talked to, since I started this podcast, I've talked to a wide range of artists from all different styles. And I remember talking to the guys from the metal band Anvil. And I said, basically, I'm not a huge metal fan, but what separates them from a lot of other metal bands is that they have good songs. So I think that regardless of the genre that you're in, the quality of your songs will make all the difference. And I've been listening and watching from afar, and your songs are quite good. So keep that up.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they improve every day, every song, and all I can do is keep writing.
Now, at this point, are you writing from life as it inspires you, or are you just one of those people who's developed the craft of songwriting to the point where you don't have to have a broken heart in order to write a song?
Yeah, good question. I think I learn by having stories and just writing what my mind is thinking and everything. So getting a lot of ability to do that, and co-writing and sharing my story and saying, hey, this is what I want to write about. That became good practice to be able to write about anything. So now that my friend says, oh, let's write a song called this, or let's write a song about my love life, I'm able to not only have lines that relate to it, but also see it in their perspective. So I think I'm able to do that, but who knows, years ago I probably would try my best and be able to fake it.
Now, how much songwriting craft did you pick up from the music industry arts program? Is that something that they really focus on in the production part, or is that not really a big deal there?
I think in Moe's class, especially for new writers, he did teach a good amount of stuff.
Quick editor's note, just to remind anybody who's listening from outside the local London, Ontario area. Sarina is referring to singer-songwriter, record producer, and music industry arts professor Moe Berg. And we'll be right back after this.
As a songwriter going into the class, I kind of was familiar with everything already, but I think a lot of people did learn stuff if they go in not knowing how to write a song and everything. I think they did learn stuff, and then second year production, the profs again were awesome, and I think people learn more about production and hooks and just how songs, they can be anything, like it's your own production, you have to be creative. So I think definitely I took some stuff with me when I graduated, but it was good to be familiar with what I was learning rather than, engineering class where I sat there and had no clue what he was saying.
I recently interviewed somebody who is a music industry insider, and at the end of the conversation, he said, "I can't wait to hear your whirling and swirling." And I thought, what? I did. So he was referring to editing, and I thought, whirling and swirling. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, the engineering part is a challenge for sure. And I don't know about you, but I tried working with Pro Tools, and I was ready to pull my hair out. So it takes a lot of skill and technical prowess to work in that realm. That's for sure. But I think you're focusing on the right things, and your songwriting is a focus, and you've been excelling at that. Now, I know you not only have you toured, or not only have you been a fixture on the local London, Ontario scene, but you've also toured Canada. And not only Canada, you went on a trip to Europe. And I know you were in England as well recently. So how did that all come together?
Yeah, I had the pleasure of going to Europe and perform some songs. I went to England, France, and those are probably my favorite. And then I went out east too to PEI and Fredericton, and it was all in a few months. And then Vancouver, and then I came home to my pets. So I was very happy when I came back. But just experiencing the tour life and getting to travel, because I love traveling, it was good exposure, and it was fun to make memories with my guitar player, Craig, who I went with.
Well, it certainly, as I was watching from Facebook, it certainly looked like a good time. Now, does my memory serve me correctly? Did you actually do the Abbey Road cross?
Heck yeah, it was really cool. Craig, who I went on tour with, he was very excited, probably more than me, but it was really cool to be there and see everything. England was so cool. I practiced my British accent.
I remember when I was a younger person, closer to your age, I remember some people saying, "You need to get over to England before it's too late." And that seems to be something that a lot of musicians and artists kind of dream of doing, and not everybody gets to do that. So that must have been just awesome for you.
Yeah, being like on tour, it was really, really cool. So I look forward to next time, I think.
And something else that you've done that I think takes a lot of guts is you didn't go over there with a band. You went over there with a guitar player. So it's just the two of you. And it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, I think, to perform at the level that you do without a full band behind you.
Yeah, it was fun because I didn't just go alone. I had him, but yeah, it would have been fun with a band, but I don't really have millions of dollars to spend and travel and pay my band. But one day.
I was just going to say, not yet, but you hold on. Now, I know you are at a young age, you're somewhat a veteran already. If I were a young person, say I was 14 or 15 years old, and I wanted to become a singer, is there any advice that you would give me?
I think I would say, like you said before, how someone told you to just write. I think no matter how confident or creative you are yet, just write, really, and practice singing, take lessons if you want, if you're totally new. Because I did learn a lot taking vocal lessons growing up. So I think if it's someone my age and they want to do that and it's totally the start, there's nothing wrong with taking vocal lessons or just winging it and seeing how your own voice does and everything. I think a lot of people say practice, practice, practice before you perform. I would not give that advice. I would say get practice while performing, not just practice in your basement, because you can go practice and you can gain your confidence and you can practice performing in front of a crowd, whether it's 2 people or 22,000. So I would say perform, and that's my advice. Write, be creative, and perform. And also know that I sing more covers than I do originals right now for the gigs that I have, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. And there's nothing wrong with writing like a terrible song and then getting one good one out of it. So probably that's the first thing I would tell them.
Well, that's good advice for sure. Now, do you do anything specifically to look after your voice? Like, is there a certain routine you have for warm-ups? Do you do anything to maintain your voice?
I think I warm up my voice. At least I try to, but with a lot of gigs, honestly, sometimes I'm like, damn, I should have warmed up my voice for like a nice, simple corporate gig. But other than that, I think just practicing a song if I want to make it sound better and practice it. And I don't have any exact secrets that I can really think of right now, but it's just a matter of singing the same song and improving how you sing it and being inspired by someone else sings it, but also like when it comes to a cover, hearing someone else cover it, but also going with what you think it should sound like when it comes to covers. And then same with originals and production. I'm more of a producer who comes up with ideas and then tells the person to do it for me. So co-producing and everything. Yeah, I think it just takes time and patience.
So just jump in there, get your feet wet, and everything will come together. Well, that's good advice. Now, I want to make sure that we let the people know about the new album. It is called Waste of Time. Now, this is a project that you've worked on for a while.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited, and I've worked on it during the pandemic, and I'm finally glad I can share it and everyone can hear it. So I hope it's enjoyable, and it's kind of pop alt with a little bit of rock in two of the songs. So it's kind of all over the place, honestly.
Now, I know that you've worked with some top shelf people. We've already talked about Moe Berg, but somebody that we've both worked with is Juno Award-winning producer Dan Brodbeck. What was that like, working with Dan?
Yeah, Dan produced the last song. That was actually about 3 years ago when I was featured on my friend Brandon Watt's song. So Dan was producing a bunch of his songs. So that was the first time I got to work with Dan just for someone else's song. And he is so nice. Definitely a good guy. And as a prof for MIA, it was a pleasure learning and just working with him. So great guy. No complaints at all.
I agree 100%. Well, Sarina, this has been great fun for me. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. I want to wish you continued success as you keep climbing the ladder. And until next time, cheers.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, I am a fan of Sarina Haggarty, and I think you will be too if you aren't already once you hear her brand new album, Waste of Time. Here's why you should add Sarina Haggarty to all of your playlists. This is the title track from her brand new album, available now, Waste of Time, from Sarina Haggarty. Enjoy.
Time's moving slow, not much left to go. One second I'm really falling, the next I'm dead at your call. This always happens, I'm just good enough. And leaving them in the wind, or they're leaving me wondering, is there something wrong with me, or do guys really suck? Trying to convince myself that's not who you are. I don't trust anyone, can see where it goes, but I already know I'm gonna waste your time. Tell me if you read warning signs, I always change my mind. Waste of time, don't wanna take it back. Deep down I don't think this can last. You try to change the past.
Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a one-man production, meaning that I've done all the work, including recording, editing, guest acquisition, etc. The theme song for Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a clip from my original composition, The Burn. All rights reserved. And hey, if you like the show, why not help us out, buy me a coffee, subscribe, hit the like button, and until next time, cheers.